What's up, my fellow bard buddies? If you're interested in playing one of the most sought after classes in Lost Ark, but are worried about leveling slowly, this video is for you. I'm going to be talking over some clips from my stream and going over the skill build. If you're interested in seeing the full run, head on over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/IULOL. For those of you just starting out, there are a couple things you should know. First off, you have your character level in the bottom left. When you finish the prologue, you'll be at level 10, and every time you level up, you'll get 5 skill points. You can access your skills menu by hitting the hotkey K, and you can spend skill points to upgrade your skills, but they cost more points as you level them up. There are 3 major breakpoints: skill level 4, 7, and 10. At each of these breakpoints, you'll get to choose from one of 3 talents to augment the skill. These are called tripods. Picking up your first tripod generally gives a nice little buff, and your second tripod makes the skill a fair bit stronger, but the 3rd level tripods are where it's at. To get to level 4, you need 4 points, for level 7, 20 points, and for level 10, a whopping 48 points. If you do the math, it means the earliest we can pick up a level 10 skill is character level 20. You can respec freely at any time as long as the skills aren't on cooldown and you aren't in combat. This costs nothing. You can also allocate and unallocate all available points by shift clicking the plus or minus button. Now that you have some idea of how skills work, let's start by going over what I think is the best skill for leveling: Dissonance. Once you play through the story, you'll realize most of the game is AoE mobbing. Dissonance casts a lingering AoE dot on the ground for 5 seconds. It hits and staggers mobs every 0.5 seconds while slowing them by 60%. It's on a blazingly fast 8-second cooldown, so you'll only have 3 seconds of downtime on this skill at any given time. You can basically spam this thing as much as you want. We'll be maxing out the skill as soon as possible, but stick around until later in the video for the leveling order. At level 4, we pick up the tripod Melody Increase, which gives us 30% faster serenade charging for our songs. You can pick up quick cast for 15% extra cast speed on the skill, but I like having the extra meter to play my attack song. At level 7, we pick up Survival of the Fittest, which lets the skill do 100% more damage against monsters below unique tier. For those of you who don't know how monster tiers work in Lost Ark, it goes normal, elite, unique, and then some other ones above that like boss and raid. This basically means we're doing double damage to normal and elite mobs, making this an AoE killing machine that will carry us through the normal story. You'll get this damage buff against most mobs in the game. At level 10, we get Enhanced Chord, which straight up gives 100% increased damage. This stacks with Survival of the Fittest multiplicatively, making our best skill even better. In terms of utility, the skill is also an S tier. It's a lingering AoE dot, so you can use it to stagger monsters while you loot quest items, mount, and more. Where it really comes in handy is breaking environmental obstacles, of which there are a ton in this game. You can cast it on destructibles even if there are monsters in the way, because Dissonance spawns on your mouse location. Damage wise, the skill destroys trash mobs, but it can fall off a little against unique or boss monsters. That's why we have our second highest priority skill, Soundholic. You first pick up this skill at level 18, but like Dissonance, it doesn't truly become OP until you put more levels in it. It's a channeling skill that lasts 3 seconds, doing damage every 0.3 seconds. So if you do the math, you get 10 ticks of damage. While channeling, you can freely turn the direction of the beam by moving your mouse around. If you dodge or move or cast anything else, it will cancel the ability. Our first tripod pickup is Focus Sound, which makes the skill do 5% more damage with each tick, up to a maximum of 30%. It's a nice buff, but nothing crazy because you generally aren't standing around full casting this thing. The second tripod we'll get is Enhanced Duration. It'll increase the cooldown by 3 seconds, bringing it up to 27 seconds, but increase the channeling time by 1.5 seconds. All this means is we get 5 extra ticks of damage. This doesn't sound that great because if you weren't casting it for 10 ticks, you're definitely not casting it for 15. But don't worry, this is all just build up to the level 10 tripod, which is the real game changer. At skill level 10, we finally get Concentrated Fire, turning our little ray of music into a Monka Giga laser. Oh, level 30. Hog crazy. Hog crazy, boys. We got it. We lose our ability to turn the beam, and the maximum ticks is shortened to 7 since we have Enhanced Duration. Instead, the skill does 700% more damage. Yeah, 7 times more. The skill is going to be carrying our single target DPS and should be max second after Dissonance. You can squeeze even more damage out of the skill, but stick around for the section on skill combos and how to use our skills effectively. Stigma is going to be the third skill we prioritize. Like Dissonance, it's an AoE dot skill that you place on the ground. After a short cast, you spawn a large circle on the ground that pulses with damage, and every time it ticks, it gets more damage. We're going to be picking up Enhanced Duration, Brilliant Stigma, and Stigma of Pain. Enhanced Duration is really good for the 4-point value because it increases the duration by 2 seconds, giving us 2 extra ticks. Since it does 12.5% extra damage per tick, it's at least 25% more damage. Brilliant Stigma applies a debuff to any mobs hit, making them take 10% more damage. Keep in mind most modifiers in this game are multiplicative as long as they come from different sources, so all of these add up for a decent chunk of damage. Lastly, Stigma of Pain increases the tick damage bonus from 12.5% to 60%, meaning the skill will do 60% more damage every time it hits. Just like with Dissonance, this skill shreds trash mobs and has the same stagger and obstacle destroying power, making it extremely good. The only downside is it's on a 16-second cooldown, so it's twice as long as Dissonance. Ultrasonic Vibration is going to be the 4th skill here, but you don't really need points in this for it to be good. It's one of the few skills we have that gives super armor, which means you can't be knocked down while casting it. It lifts monsters in the air and drops them down, inflicting weak point or destruction, whatever they translate it to, which is used to stagger bosses. It's a great crowd control AoE that we'll use a lot when Stigma is on cooldown. Keep in mind that you need to skill Tenacity for the knockback prevention. The next skill we use is Heavenly Performance. It's not a hard skill to understand. It gives us an attack power boost and some attack speed if you have the tripod for it. The cooldown lines up well with Soundholic, so you generally want to cast this before you shoot your big laser. Note that this and our Bard Identity Song, Serenade of Courage, both give attack bonuses that will apply retroactively to our Dissonance and Stigma. This means if you cast the dots first and the buffs second, they'll still get the attack boost on the next tick of damage. The last skill I'll go over is Sound Shock. The rest is filler and can be changed according to what you like. Sound Shock is also on an 8-second cooldown, and we mainly just use it at level 4 because it becomes a multi-hit ability that's great for breaking doors, boxes, whatever. If you have the skill points later on, you can get it up to level 10 and it becomes a pretty good DPS skill that you can use in between cooldowns. Let's go over some skill combos now. Our main combo for AoEing trash mobs is going to be Stigma into Dissonance. Get used to this because you're going to be spamming it over and over again. This combo basically creates a kill zone wherever you cast it. You can throw these down and move on, mount up, whatever, greatly speeding up your leveling. In general, you should place the AoEs between yourself and the monsters to let them walk into it. While they're getting staggered and hit, you can also pick up items on the ground. If there's any stragglers, you can cast Sound Shock along with your other abilities to finish them off. If Stigma is on cooldown, you can replace it with Ultrasonic Vibration. Our single target rotation starts with the same moves, Stigma into Dissonance. Wait for your opportunity, then cast Soundholic. If you can, a back attack will give you 10% extra crit chance, so you get maximum damage. If you have any attack buffs, try and cast them before Soundholic. Since it's on a 27-second cooldown, you really want to make sure you're clear to get full ticks, because if you get interrupted or you miss, your DPS is basically 0. After that, you can just use your skills as needed off cooldown. It's sometimes worth it to wait if you can see the boss is about to be staggered, because then you'll be able to get a clear full channel back attack combo. For skill leveling, you should follow the priority listed earlier, picking up level 10 skills when possible by using a respec. For those of you who want a more detailed breakdown, take a look at this. Note that when you pick up any optional skills, for example Dissonance 7 at character level 15, you'll need to unskill the optional skills to have enough skill points for it. If you want to save time and not worry about skilling and unskilling the same things over and over again, you can just leave them blank and save your skill points for the next thing. It's pretty self-explanatory. The most important thing is that at level 20, you want to unspec everything and you'll have just enough points to pick up Dissonance level 10. At this point, you'll also want to go on your second preset and pick up Soundholic level 10. We'll explain why you do this later. After level 30, you just want to prioritize leveling your skills back up to level 4, then level 7, then level 10 according to the earlier priority. For some closing tips, at level 20, I mentioned you should pick up a preset with Soundholic level 10 and your main skill tree with Dissonance level 10. This is because without Soundholic level 10, your single target DPS is really sad. Dissonance does a lot of damage to trash mobs, but it basically does half damage against bosses. Since you can swap between presets whenever you want, as long as they're not on cooldown and you're not in combat, make sure you swap to your Soundholic preset before a dungeon boss, so you have your single target set up for the boss. After you finish the boss, you can swap back to your leveling tree. If you don't know when a boss is coming up, it's generally pretty obvious. If you look at the map, bosses will be in larger rooms in dungeons or at the very last area in a dungeon. The second tip is that it's almost always correct to cast the attack song, Serenade of Courage, or hotkey Z to buff your damage. If you need to heal, you should drink potions because you get hundreds of them for free while leveling. I'll be posting more guides for leveling routes and other tips, so if you want a main bard, make sure you subscribe or catch me on Twitch. This has been Ayu, and until next time, bye you. So these quests, if you see here, there's a yellow, it's a yellow exclamation mark, but it has like a chain or a diagonal through it. These are like actual special quests that give something, side quests. So if you look at it, this gives a potion that you can use to level up all your what's it called, like your virtues by 5. So like if you see you have like wisdom, charisma, and other stats, these are used later on for the dating sim part of the game where you do the rapport with NPCs. So technically you can do these quests for potions, but I'm gonna have to do those like all at once at endgame anyway, so I'm just gonna skip them for now.